There is a particular kind of romantic situation that makes intelligent women behave like unpaid intelligence analysts. A man appears. The connection is immediate. The conversation moves quickly, because both people have a wound that recognizes another wound. He has lost a wife. She has left a long marriage. Both have spent years inside serious relationships. Both carry history, and both feel the dangerous relief of meeting someone who seems to understand, without requiring the usual translation. Then he makes a grand gesture. In the case of R.A., a woman who had been divorced for 2 years after a 9-year marriage, the man she met online had been widowed for 2 years and had 2 children. Within 1 week of talking, he booked a trip from Kuwait to Dubai. He arranged a 5-star hotel. He was going to spend a week with her. This was not a vague promise delivered by a man lying horizontally in the dark, typing, "We should meet soon," with one finger, while watching football. This was an expensive gesture. Then, 2 days before the trip, the entire thing collapsed. He was admitted to the hospital. He told her he had kidney failure, that it was hereditary, that he needed dialysis, and that he hoped she would not hate him. Now he sends her a good morning text nearly every day, but he rarely calls. And R.A. is asking the question that sits underneath so many modern romances. How do I keep his interest without becoming the woman who constantly checks in, chases, worries, reassures, and eventually performs emotional labor for a man she has not even met? This is not simply a question about attraction. It is a question about whether you are becoming a choice or an option. Because men do not always decide this consciously. They do not sit at a mahogany desk, light a cigar, and declare, "Today I shall classify women according to their utility." Most men are far less organized than that. Many cannot organize their email inbox, much less their inner motives. But their behavior does the sorting for them. A woman becomes a choice when her presence carries weight, when access to her feels meaningful, limited, and connected to a standard. A woman becomes an option when she is emotionally available regardless of what he gives, how little he communicates, or whether he turns his promises into reality. And before anyone becomes sentimental, let us be clear. A man facing a serious illness may genuinely be exhausted, scared, distracted, and unable to offer the kind of contact he intended to offer. Dialysis is not a minor inconvenience. It is not a delayed haircut or a missed brunch. It is physically and emotionally demanding. But compassion does not require self-abandonment. The woman who understands power in relationships does not become cruel when a man is vulnerable. She becomes observant. She understands that someone's hardship may explain inconsistent behavior, but it does not automatically turn inconsistency into proof of devotion. A good morning text is not a relationship. It is a signal. Sometimes it is a sincere signal. Sometimes it is a tether. It says, "I am still here enough to remain in your thoughts." It costs almost nothing. A man can send it from a hospital bed, a boardroom, an airport, or while avoiding a difficult conversation with another woman. The text itself proves only that he has remembered to send a text. The real question is what follows. Does he call when he has the energy? Does he explain what is happening without forcing her to interrogate him? Does he speak concretely about rescheduling the trip once his health permits? Does he make her feel included in reality? Or does he keep her suspended inside a fog of sympathy and possibility? That is where the distinction reveals itself. A woman who becomes overly anxious at this stage often begins trying to earn certainty. She sends longer messages. She checks on him more often. She softens every expectation because she does not want to seem insensitive. She tells herself that asking for a call would be selfish. She becomes so afraid of losing the connection that she begins making herself smaller inside it. This is how a choice becomes an option. Not because she cared. Caring is not weakness. The weakness is allowing concern to turn into a permission slip for a man to give almost nothing while receiving her full emotional presence. There is a dark little mechanism at work here. The less certain you are of where you stand, the more your mind starts investing in solving the mystery. You analyze his timing. You wonder whether dialysis has exhausted him. You look at his last active status. You debate whether a warm message would make you seem loving or desperate. Soon you have built an entire internal kingdom around a man whose voice you barely hear. The human mind is very talented at creating emotional empires from insufficient evidence. Research supports this ugly truth. A 2011 study by Aaron Whitchurch, Timothy Wilson, and Daniel Gilbert, published in Psychological Science, found that uncertainty about whether another person liked you could increase attraction and preoccupation. When people were unsure of another person's interest, they often thought about that person more. Ambiguity does not merely create confusion, it can create obsession. This is why inconsistent attention is so powerful. Not because it is deep, because it leaves the imagination enough empty space to become its own prison warden. R.A. should not assume this man is playing a calculated game. He may be exactly what he says he is: a widower, a father, a man dealing with a frightening medical crisis, and someone who genuinely wanted to meet her. But even in the most sympathetic interpretation, the strategy remains the same. She should be warm, but not endlessly available. She can send a message that acknowledges his circumstances while quietly establishing that she expects real connection when he is capable of it. Something like, "I hope treatment is going as well as possible. Take care of your health. When you feel up to it, I would genuinely like to speak and hear how you are doing." Then she stops. She does not send a second message because he has not answered quickly enough. She does not become his virtual nurse. She does not ask for medical proof because she is not his detective or insurance adjuster. And she does not make dramatic declarations about how she will wait forever, because forever is a very long time to reserve for a man who has not yet managed one phone call. She lets the silence do its job. Silence is not punishment. It is an environment in which truth becomes audible. If he is truly interested, and if his circumstances stabilize, he will move toward her. He will call. He will clarify. He will reschedule. He will make some effort to bridge the distance, even if that effort is imperfect. A man who sees you as a choice may face delays, illness, grief, responsibility, and exhaustion, but he does not leave you permanently in the category of maybe. He understands that uncertainty has a cost. A man who sees you as an option, however, often likes the arrangement exactly as it is. He gets the affection, admiration, and emotional softness of a woman who cares, without having to create a relationship worthy of her investment. He sends enough attention to keep the door unlocked, but not enough to enter the room. This is the emotional equivalent of leaving a light on in a house you have no intention of visiting. And women often cooperate with this arrangement because they confuse patience with power. Patience can be powerful when it is chosen from abundance. When you have a life, standards, friendships, work, and other sources of meaning, patience is calm. But patience chosen from fear is merely waiting with better manners. R.A. has already had a 9-year marriage. She does not need to prove that she is capable of loyalty, endurance, or understanding. She has earned the right to observe before attaching herself to another man's unfinished story. The best way to maintain his interest is not to maintain it for him. Let him experience the value of your attention without giving him unlimited access to it. Be kind. Be receptive. Do not be cold for theatrical effect. Manufactured indifference is transparent, and it usually makes a woman look like she is auditioning for a role she does not understand. But do not overcompensate for the gap between his plans and his actions. The next move belongs to him. If he calls, speak warmly, but listen carefully. Does he make plans? Does he offer specifics? Is he interested in you as a person, or merely relieved that someone is still available to admire him through a difficult chapter? A woman who can distinguish between sympathy and investment becomes very difficult to use. And if he drifts away, let him drift. Do not interpret his departure as evidence that you were not caring enough. It may simply reveal that the connection was built more on speed, fantasy, and circumstance than on the sustained intention required for a real relationship. The woman who can walk away from ambiguity does not lose power. She retrieves it. Thank you, R.A., for availing one-on-one coaching. Your instincts are already pointing in the right direction. You want to be compassionate without becoming the woman who carries the entire emotional weight of a connection. Hold that line. If you want personalized guidance on interpreting behavior, setting the right pace, and avoiding the option trap, one-on-one coaching is available through the link in the description. Monthly and yearly unlimited coaching subscriptions are also available. Check your spam or promotions folder after ordering for confirmation.